We'll go ahead and get started. So welcome to our Matrix Professional Development session. Today we're pleased to welcome back Mike Pearl as he speaks to us on the topic of critical thinking and stress management. Mike Pearl is a premises security and police practices expert with over 20 years of professional experience. His security casework examines physical security, policies and procedures, and the actions of security personnel. Mike's police practices casework focuses on the actions of police departments and individuals' officers as they pertain to use of force, pursuits, and other incidents where the actions of law enforcement are the subject of a dispute. Mike is board certified as a certified protection professional through ASIS International. So we'll kick it over to you, Mike. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me, Angela. Appreciate it. So welcome, everybody. I can't see any of you. Hopefully you can see me and see my screen, so that's good. We're talking about critical thinking and stress management, and kind of jump off with what's the whole basis of this, and why are we doing it? So it's so important in this day and age with the amount of stress level. And you hear it from the different generations as to how do you survive this with the institution of social media and technology and the growth and communication and whatnot. There's so many different facets that are out there that is so important, and it's great that Matrix is addressing this as a great topic. And give you a couple anecdotes and different thoughts that I've had in my 20 plus years career in law enforcement and what I'm doing now, and how to get through and be resilient and kind of manage your stress as best you can. Being a cop for 20 years, it was a different type of stress. And then I thought, once I retired, no more stress. But I still have a wife. Not that she's stressful. I still have children. I still have parents that are getting older by the day. So it's a different type of stress. And we'll try to delve into the different topics and the different areas of that. And how can you as an employee, as a person, be resilient and be able to overcome these different stressful events that you may encounter, whether it's your personal life or your professional life. And there's no line that delineates in between them. So it's nice to be able to kind of manage yourself and handle your own situations, because it does carry over to work. So the purpose of the discussion of critical thinking, kind of give you my thoughts on that. And again, I thought once I retired, I didn't have to think anymore. But I took a job being a police practices expert, and I got to think more than ever. So yeah, retirement did not cause me not to critical think. It caused me to learn about critical thinking. Resilience, we'll talk about that. And how do you handle stressful situations? How do you make sure that you as a person are fit mentally and physically in order to handle stress and the different things that get thrown at us? Because there is no stress-free environment. It doesn't exist. Stress can be good in some facets as well. I call it eustress, EUSTRESS. Eustress is something that kind of guides you and pushes you along in a positive fashion. So stress usually has the connotation of negative, but we'll put a positive spin on it. And then the stress management of how are you going to manage it, and what can you do outside of the workplace, inside the workplace, and basically have a better grasp on what's causing the stress, how do you deal with the stress. And again, everybody deals with stuff differently. So again, we try to come up with some different anecdotes and different thoughts and kind of my perspective of what I've seen over the years. Then kind of an overview of what we talked about at that 30,000 foot level, just to discuss the different bullet points and the takeaways from it. So, okay, so just a brief introduction who I am. So I was a cop for 20 years and 3 days, not that I was counting. It was good to get out of the business. I love being a cop. I just was done being a cop at that point. I was a SWAT commander 7.5 years. So I did have some stresses. There were certainly plenty of incidences, whether it was just calls on the phone with different people demanding that I send a SWAT team immediately, or if it was something where, which is more paramount, is concern for my folks that were working for me, my operators, my boots on the ground, folks that were in the dangerous zone, and always concerned about them and their safety and making sure they were trained enough, they had the right resources, right mindset going into these types of calls. So it was now that I look back, I guess there was a lot of stress on that. It didn't affect me negatively, thankfully. Um, but looking back at it, I go, huh, probably should have affected me negatively, but it didn't. It didn't. So during that time frame too, I was a workplace violence armed intruder security consultant. So I did a lot of training with private businesses when it came to workplace violence and armed intruder, whether it was their responses to an armed intruder, the hide, run, fight type situations, seeking shelter, different options, calling the police, and basically that whole gamut of workplace violence. So again, another stress type induced thing that I decided I need to start a business and do that as well. So I'm again reading my slides here. I'm wondering why I did all. No, I'm only joking. Again, it's something that I was good at, and I was able to handle these situations. And I wanted to be able to articulate and train people and try to help people out as best I could. And then had no business being a safety director for 2 years for a commercial construction company. It was to enforce the rules. They didn't ask me to build anything, thank God. But it was to enforce rules and do OSHA type investigations when it came to accidents and making sure they were compliant on their job sites. And then I found the job that I'm in now, the police practice as a premises security. I've been doing that for just about 5 years in March. And again, it gets into your more stress and going to court, flying all over the country, opining on different topics of discussion. And I thought, again, I put the stress stuff behind me, but I didn't. I induced some more. So I must like it, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So okay, so what is critical thinking? I never had a concept of what critical thinking was. I just took in information and tried to make the best decision based on the information that I had and move forward. And unfortunately, I think that's a cop's mindset, and that was a SWAT commander mindset. That was a patrol officer or lieutenant or sergeant or whatever rank I was at the time. But when you're thinking about, and I'll give the example, we'll say you're buying a car. Everybody can pretty much relate to that as long as there's no stress involved with it where your car broke down on the side of the road, you're like, I can't even drive this thing. But most people, you're in a scenario where you're like, it's time to replace the car, let me go ahead and do that. And you hear my mass accent, so I'll say vehicle instead so people can understand what the heck is he talking about. So you got to buy a new vehicle and you start to do your research. The critical thinking process kicks in. You don't know that you're doing it, but you're going to kind of use this process kind of subconsciously. You're going to identify assumptions. You're thinking about, okay, there's a particular car or there's a particular need that I have. I'm in a snowy environment. I may need all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. It may need X amount of passenger space because of the size of my family. And you hear different assumptions saying, well, no, you don't buy that car. That's a horrible brand car. Or you read the reviews online. And what you do is you try to validate what you're seeing and what you're hearing. You talk to people that might have that similar type vehicle and say, hey, how accurate is this? They're telling me the thing breaks down every 15,000 miles, or it's expensive for service, and you try to validate what it is that you're doing when it comes to that selection process. You take alternative perspectives. Hey, what other cars that are in that same field, price wise, reliability, you've checked consumer reports, you've talked to people, but you're looking at alternative perspectives. You're not all in on one type of vehicle just because it looks shiny or whatever your process might be. And then you take informed actions. So based on the totality of what you know and what you've learned doing your research, you make good decisions. So you may even get a better price. You may go into a dealership or online now and be able to negotiate something much more beneficial for your family because you did your research. You made good informed decisions, and now you're taking good informed actions based on what you learned. So it's anything and everything that you can possibly think of that it's not, well, what do I want for lunch? Well, I know I'm going to have, Chinese food for supper, so I probably don't want it for lunch too. So it's anything that you can think of. Your head is constantly spinning and you're using that critical thinking process. And it sounds like you're dumbing it down, but you're not. It's something where you're just not making reactionary type decisions. You're actually thinking it through, and you develop a process, and it works quickly. Some are longer than others, some are quicker than others. So okay, so why is it more important than ever? we're in information overload. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Snapchat or Instagram or any platform that is for social stuff. I know hard to believe. I seem like a real social guy, right? I just don't, because I'm not interested in it. I don't need anybody. I don't need validation. I don't need anybody to tell me that, oh, wow, you're on vacation and I'm taking pictures of myself. I don't do any of that stuff. However, a lot of people do, especially this new generation. My daughter's 28, 29 years old. My son's 24, 25. They live and die by that. Everybody knows what everybody's doing at all times. In addition to that, it's not just the fun stuff, it's the bad stuff. It's news outlets or alleged news outlets throwing information into these different platforms. And now you're overloaded on information. And if you're not using a critical thinking process and you're not going through steps to validate, uh, you can get stressed out pretty quick. I'll give the example here, and I don't know why, but this is my dad. Love him to death. Artificial intelligence is another one of those information overloads. My dad is not Bruins coach Jim Montgomery, but Bruins coach Jim Montgomery got fired, and I think this was probably about a year ago. Um, the team wasn't doing well, so they fired him. That's what they do. You don't do well, you get fired. So my dad, and I love him to death, but he is, almost 80 years old, and he's trying to delve into this, all these different platforms, TikTok and all the different stuff. And because he's of that older generation where he sees stuff on TV or a platform of some sort, it's got to be true. It's got to be true. So he called me up one day. He goes, "Hey, you see they fired the Bruins coach, Jim Montgomery?" And I said, "Yeah, I caught a glimpse on the sports thing." He's like, "Man, he lambasted the Bruins organization." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" He's like, "Oh yeah, on TikTok. He was up there at the podium and he was, using the F bomb and swearing about the management and the leadership, and he's going on and on." And I'm going, what are you talking about? Yeah, yeah, it was on TikTok. So I pulled it up and I looked at it, and somebody did AI for Jim Montgomery and made him sound like a disgruntled employee for 25 minutes, and he stood at a Bruins podium with the Bruins logos behind him, allegedly at the Boston Garden, and basically just tore apart the Bruins organization. And I go, "This isn't real." He's like, "Well, of course it is. It's on TikTok there." I go, "No, no, I see where it's on, but it's not real. Why would the Bruins organization fire him and then allow him to go to the podium with all their stuff behind him? Like, yeah, let's give him a shot. We'll give him 25 minutes to lambaste us and yell about how horrible we are as an organization." I go, it's not real." He's like, I don't know. I'm like, "Oh, I love you, man." Okay, so it's that mindset where people see stuff, if there's no validation to it or there's no thought process into it. And my dad's a very smart guy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's not intelligent, but he's of that generation where you hear it, you see it, it's being broadcast. It must be real. It's got to be real because I have no reason not to believe it. So it's important. It's really important to start vetting this stuff because there's so much of this stuff. And again, this is why I go into why it's information overload. I don't know that we're able as a society to handle all this information, and it causes all these undue stress on people because they're thinking things are real, or the wave of the globe is turning a certain way when it comes to politics or wars or conflicts or whatever it might be. If you haven't validated it, it's tough to move forward without thinking, "Oh God, bad things might happen here." Now, if you are a person that does not work and is sitting around all day, uh, you might have time to validate this, but there's no way in God's green earth you're going to be able to validate all this information that's coming in through all these different platforms. So it's always important to try to go to a local news media, CNN, ABC News, CBS, something that that you go to that isn't forced on you, that in order to validate this information, because it can run rampant, and you got to be careful. And again, I'm not blaming our older generation. They're just not used to it, and they have that level of trust because if the media says it's probably
Alrighty.
been vetted. Um, Misinformation versus disinformation. So misinformation, the biggest difference between these two are the intention. What is the intention of that source that's putting out? Misinformation may be somewhat true, but the facts may be a little off. But there's no intent to deceive you or have any, it's just inaccurate. That's it. Disinformation is information that comes out that is intentionally sent out to basically intentionally or deliberately misinform you with some type of subject matter, whatever it might be. So again, these can lead to catastrophic events in your personal life and business life. Things need to be vetted. You can't just take it on face value anymore, especially if it's not coming face to face or it's coming internally where they're trusted sources. You get an email from somebody in your organization and you know that, hey, this information has probably been vetted and accurate, as opposed to getting it from the outside and then trying to make stuff. So you don't want to make bad decisions based on either misinformation or disinformation, but the disinformation is the more troubling one, where people will intentionally put out false information to make you believe something that's completely wrong. There's so many sophisticated algorithms that are out there now. It's spooky. I'll be the first to admit, do I go on TikTok? Absolutely. I think so. There's some funny stuff on there. There's some good stuff on there. Um, but if I'm sitting on the couch with my wife and we're talking about something, I was talking about buying an electric shovel to go clean my patio off. And then somehow, some way on TikTok, I've got like 3 or 4 TikToks popping up. And I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't search for anything on my phone about the Ryobi push shovel. And now my phone knows. So I wasn't overly thrilled with that. But again, it's something that there are algorithms out there, whether it's listening to you or not, or I type something in, I'm not sure, but it's a little spooky and you've got to be cognizant of that. Okay, so what's the benefit of this critical thinking? Good decision making, good problem solving. Uh, you're evaluating information from that 30,000-foot level where you did the research. Nobody's feeding you information in order to say, okay, just think this way, or make a decision based on you're the one that's done that critical thinking. Effective communication. If you listen to my presentation, I think it was 2 years ago. At this point, you know, you're able to articulate why you're doing what you're doing based on the information that you gleaned, and you're always open to understanding multiple angles. Your way is not the only way. It's a process. It's certainly a direction that you can go, but you want to always be understanding those multiple angles, different perspectives as how the people are thinking. So, in my job now as an expert, I use the scientific method when it comes to identifying the problem, analyzing the problem, looking at all the data and information that I have, and then using my experience and training and knowledge, I go and evaluate whether it was the standard of care or the adequacy of security or whatever the situation may be. So I'm constantly using critical thinking. And that's my defense. When I come up with opinions, I have to prove that and say, no, this is what I relied on. I can't just say, because I said so. You can try that, but that doesn't work when the judge looks at you and says, yeah, do you mind? You can get disqualified as an expert, and then that kind of ruins your career to be able to opine on different things. So it's very important for me in my line of work to make sure that I am vetting everything out, and I'm peer reviewed as well. I don't just make these opinions carte blanche and say, I'll just throw out opinions. I get peer reviewed by like experts that say, okay, I think I understand what you're saying, but you're not clear on this. And this is other experts calling you out. So the critical thinking facet is so important. And to me, when you do that, you have that sense of relief. Hey, I've looked at this thing, I've analyzed it from every which way, but upside down, and I feel very comfortable on the decisions that I'm making based on my thinking, my process here. It's when you're making decisions quick, those knee-jerk reactions. That's when it can rise to problems.
Mike, it looks like we had a hand raised. Are you
I
okay to
can't
take a
see.
question? Are you
Of
able to
course
take
I
a
am.
question? Okay,
Of course.
all right. Dave, did you have a question?
Yeah, you were talking about, the last slide, you have all things you got to do to be able to make a decision or critical thinking. And that's hard. And I wanted to see what insights you have. I mean, even reading the Bible, you got to have this concordance to look up what the real meaning of from the Hebrew or Greek was, as opposed to the interpretation. And then you get into social media, news stations, Google, you don't even know what you can trust anymore. So I don't know. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that I look at it for critical thinking. If it's something that's going to personally affect me, or it's going to affect my job performance, or then it's really, really important to delve into stuff to make sure that you are checking with coworkers, standards of care, manuals, technical data, whatever it might be. If you're doing it as if, like you're saying, if you're interpreting the Bible, or you're that's more of a self-edification thing that you're not going to be making choices that those are personal for you, and those shouldn't adversely affect other people. Does that kind of answer your question on that?
Yeah, I guess you're saying if it's personal, you don't have to do as much critical thinking, but I guess I would say, yeah, some of that stuff, like if you're doing investments or something, I mean, maybe the Bible wasn't a good example. You're
Hmm.
always looking for what's the real information out there, whether it affects you or somebody else. I agree with you on
Hmm.
somebody else, um, especially if it's your job. That's easy. You know, that's what we do in our processes. We have teams. You're
Hmm.
smarter as a team than you are an individual, that kind of stuff. But
Sure.
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think with the investment, that's a great example. I read a book over the summertime about cryptocurrency. I knew nothing about it. Bitcoin, knew nothing about it at all. And I said, you know what? I want to educate myself. Not that I want to invest in it. I just want to know what it's all about, because you hear these people making bajillions of dollars. I'm not. And I'm like, "God, what is it? Is it actually a coin? No, it's not. It's this, that. So there's this whole process that goes through. So to me, it was, I try to educate myself on that process to say, is it worth getting involved with it? And yeah, it could, if my wife and children believe what I'm saying from my own research, to say, okay, I'm going to take a chunk of money out of her savings account. I don't know that I'm comfortable with that. And so it really, if it was something where I said, well, I have a little wheelbarrow of money here by myself that I can invest, and no harm, no foul if I lose it, then I'm okay with that. But if I'm putting my house mortgage up and saying, okay, let's let it ride in Bitcoin, that might be a problem. So, and again, I read that book. There were different other resources or other websites that I went to just to look into it. And it's actually, to be honest with you, I'm a little more confused than I was before I picked up the book on the beach. It's a whole nother thing. So hopefully that kind of, you're still doing your critical thinking. It's like, how much are you delving into it's really going to look at that end result to say, what am I doing? Is it work related? Is it something where lives may be impacted? If it's something personal, okay, maybe it's not as critical, but it's still a process.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Great question. Okay, so resilience, an ability to recover from or adjust easily to misfortune or change. Um, Resilience, what a great word. It really is. When it comes to, you can be thrown bad information or not pleasing stuff that you're going on, whether it's your personal life or at work. How do you recover from it? We all know people that, if you know they had a bad day and you see them coming, that bad day's coming with them right to you. Somewhere the chip on the shoulder, some are, as soon as they just fold under the pressure. And resilience really is that ability to recover from getting bad news. I had a guy one time that he had put in for a position at work. He didn't get it. It was a very competitive process. He began crying in the hallway and then told me that he was sick and he was going home. So yeah, his resilience really wasn't great, but it wasn't even the resilience part. It was long term to say, is this the person I want in that position? You're really showing your character flaw here to say, okay, I didn't get it. You can't get everything. You can't get every single position or everything that you put in for, whatever it might be. It can't be that way. The world doesn't revolve around you. You just kind of pick yourself up, congratulate the person that did get it, and say, okay, what can I do better in the future? So one of those spots do pop up. I'm in. Put me in, coach. There's nothing better than to go to the first person that gets something over you, or you're happy for them, and you go, hey, great job. You usually see that person light up like, really? You're supposed to be mad at me. You're supposed to be on social media saying, oh, hate this guy or gal because they got it over me. So it's telling. You don't have to be thrilled that you didn't get it. You're not saying do cartwheels down the hallway, but at the same time, it's how do you absorb that? How do you take that information and go, okay, I guess it wasn't my time yet. I'm grab myself by the bootstraps, pull myself up, and put me in. I'm going to do a better job the next time. So, and again, being resilient allows you to be able to handle the challenges as they come your way, you brush them off. It's not the end of the world. You still have a job. You still have whatever's going on. It just wasn't, you didn't get to your goal right when you wanted to. My son is like that. He wants to be the CEO of the company immediately. I'm like, you've been there 6 months, but he's 20 something. Yeah, I put my time in already. I'm like, really, 6 months? I'm like, I didn't get promoted to sergeant until I had 5 years on. And even then they were like, it's still a little light, but it was incumbent on me to make sure I proved myself as I went so I could get promoted to lieutenant and so on and so forth. So you just take that information in. It improves your mental and physical health, gives you a better relationship with colleagues and enhanced adaptability to change. You're really trying to be a cheerleader. Again, whether it's at home, something doesn't go right with the family, okay. Not everything's gonna, if you think it is, well, that you're already behind the 8 ball. How do you respond to adverse information? We brush it off. We go, yeah, no, that didn't work that time. But guess what? Next time when we're up to do it, you can use the example of Tom Brady, 199th. How many coaches, how many management staff kicked themselves? Like, really? We bypassed this guy to the 199th pick, the 6th round. No, and he was upset. He was crying. He was walking down the street with his dad. Oh man, how can they not pick me? Huh? He's wallowing in self-pity. The guy that's got 7 Super Bowl rings. Can you believe that he didn't deal with adversity good, and he wasn't resilient at that point. I don't think he was mature enough to understand that, but now he's got it. So the different attributes, positive attributes needed for resilience in the workplace. So promoting a growth mindset. If you're happy, and you know this when you're in teamwork or you just as an individual, people want to clone you. They want a happiness around them. Again, you don't have to be over the top happy, but if you're trying to promote a growth mindset, say, hey, this is great. We got jobs. We're doing our work. We're growing the company, or we're expanding on a project, or whatever that you're involved with. It's a positive growth mindset. You're strengthening emotional regulation. You're not walking around there as a ticking time bomb where people are going, oh, are they unhappy today? What's going on? I'm not saying you're hiding your emotions, but you're not letting them get the best of you. You hear that term a lot. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. That resilience, again, is, okay, I'm not overly thrilled that I didn't get A, B, C, and D, or whatever the situation may be, but that's okay. I still have my job. I still have the opportunity to grow and do X, Y, and Z. And I'm going to continue to keep that level of professionalism and that level of motivation and hard work. It will pay off. It will come out in the end. Cultivating that team cohesion. Again, teamwork is huge. I give the example of the SWAT team. It wasn't all about me as the SWAT commander. It really wasn't about me at all. I was the guy in the sterile environment at the radio with all the gadgets and gadgets going off. The guys, the boots on the ground, my team members that were going to handle whatever problem was, I had to allow them flexibility, trust, make sure they could make good decisions based on their training and experience, and that I'm going to be accepting whatever decisions they make because I'm the commander. So if you have that cohesiveness between the team, then you understand that, hey, I've given you enough information, enough resources to be kind of dangerous. You can kind of do your own thing. But at the same time, I trust what you're doing. I'm going to listen to what you're saying and what you're doing. I'm going to make sure that we continue to be resilient. Whether something bad happens or not, we'll fight through it. We'll make it happen. And then that support for the work-life balance. So many times people think, you gotta be able to. I used to go down to my locker as soon as the uniform came off and put it in the locker, shut the door. I was off the job. That's it. I'm coming home. It's now what are we going to hockey? Is my daughter got horseback? What family events do we have? Completely off. I had to. I didn't want to bring home misery and hate and discontent because it wasn't the greatest place to, not so much the work for, but the job I was doing. I'm not going to come home and tell horrible stories because I didn't have any good ones. There were no, oh, we got a dog out of a tree or a cat out of a tree. That's what the fire guys do, not the police. They're our heroes, but if you didn't know. So, it was really very limited on happy stories and good stuff. It was miserable stuff and horrible stuff. So I made sure that I took that uniform off, put it in the locker, shut the door. But then when I became a SWAT commander, I had a take-home car and I had the uniform on. So I'm like, how do I take this off now and leave everything in the door? I would drive maybe the long way home to decompress if something bad was going on or something, and try not to bring work home with me because it belongs at work, not at home. Okay. Okay, so the four main types of stress. Time stress. Stress is caused by worry there isn't enough time to accomplish everything on your to-do list. Who doesn't have time stress? You get through the week of finally working, and now you get that list of stuff that you got to do at the house, or you have other commitments through the family. You got to go to a party or a gathering or a function, and there's never enough time. So early on in my world, I kind of learned that only because, and my wife had to learn it too, unfortunately, because I worked 4 days on, 2 days off on a rotating schedule. So every sixth weekend I had off, Saturday, Sunday. So when you only have Saturday, Sunday off, completely off, you have to really coordinate and schedule. And we became masters of that, of how to accomplish everything with those days, because we want to also enjoy our company and our marriage and our children, not just, eat, work, come home, do again, and repeat and sleep. That's not healthy. So understanding that, hey, it is what it is. You sit down, look at your time management type stuff, whether it's at work or at the home. You want to make sure that you can evaluate, hey, let me allocate this is important. This isn't really important. We can get to it. We can go past a week or two, but if you prioritize what you have and you're organized, the time stress starts to minimize a little bit. Anticipatory stress results from worrying about a future event that is uncertain or may be negative. So to me, if there's something that you're worried about, such as at work, you're going to have a conversation with a superior of some sort, or there's something that's going on that you're worrying that it may be negative, get it out front. Get out front of it. Don't dwell on it. Don't, oh, what could it be? I don't know. I just got this memo, said I got to talk to so and so. I don't like that person, or they never give me good news. Follow up right away. Don't let it dwell. Don't let it hang out there. So now that you're going to stress and try to go through 8 million different scenarios as to what is going to happen, on this future event. One thing is being prepared. If you're worried about something, and anytime I do a speaking engagement, whether it's in person or whatever, I don't worry about it. I look forward to it because I enjoy public speaking, but I get prepared. I go through my data and my information that I have. I come up with these different my stories that are in line to make sure that it's relatable to what I'm talking about, and I want to be prepared. Do I get stressed about it? I don't think so. I mean, I can't see anybody right now. I'm a little stressed about that. I can only see my screen, so hopefully everybody's still with us. But to get stressed about something in a future event, it's like, well, what do they say? 85% of stuff that we worry about never happens. So I use that stat all the time. I'm always going, hey, and by the way, what is that worrying gonna do for you? Think about stuff that you worried about building up to something, whatever event it might be. And then look back and go, huh, that worrying did nothing. All it did was stress me out even more, as opposed to being prepared or looking forward to saying, okay, well, it's going to happen, and I'm going to be the best person that I can possibly be, regardless of what the scenario is. Situational stress. This was very applicable to me with it's unpredictable and scary situations that are beyond your control. That's how our SWAT stuff, that's how a lot of our police calls were. It turns into a barking dog complaint, and you show up, it's a domestic, and somebody's swinging a baseball bat or whatever's going on. You're like, what? This isn't what I got called to. This is very unpredictable. And you got to be at the top of your game. You got to be fit mentally and physically to make sure that you can handle those type of scenarios, that situational stress that comes at you, to say, how am I going to respond effectively to make sure other people don't get hurt? And even more important, I don't get hurt. I want to come home at night. So hopefully that is more limited in your type of line of work, that you don't have that stress of unpredictability on scary situations. But again, you revert back to training. If you have training and you're in some type of environment that's dangerous, or that has very strict cautions, or some type of restrictions on how you do a particular process, being trained, you're going to respond effectively. So it's not going to be unpredictable if it does in fact happen. Because if it does, you're like, oh, okay, didn't think it was going to happen, but it did, and this is how I'm going to respond. Encounter stress. Stress arises from social interactions, particularly people you dislike or have trouble with. Again, if you know that you're going to be interacting with folks, you don't have to stress about it. You may not enjoy it, but don't wear it on your sleeve. Just you fight through it, you make it happen, and you allow the stress to kind of slide off of you. Not everybody is a fan of the social interactions with people, but it's necessary. We're not hermits. We can't just live under a rock. We have to interact with folks. And it may not be the most enjoyable thing, but we can limit our time that we have to do that. And if we know we're going to go into it, kind of that anticipatory stress that I'm going to be in this social environment that I'm just not a fan of, but I'll fight through it. And I've had it done that several times with my wife in different scenarios where she's like, "Oh yeah, no, it'll be great," and I'm like, "I don't really want to do that." She's like, "No, you'll love it. X will be there, Y will be there." I'm like, "No, I really don't want to do it. Thanks for wrecking it." But put the game face on. Yeah, hey, how's it going? And you're talking the talk. And you get through it, and you go, "Phew, okay." All right. So different managements of stressors. Plenty of rest or sleep. And I can't stress this enough from my own personal level. Uh, Back in 2006, I was in our undercover narcotics unit and was working 10 to 12-hour days, and I was exhausted. I didn't know why I was so tired. And my wife told me that I snore like a banshee and that there's no way in God's green earth that you could be getting good sleep because you sound like a buzzsaw like all night. And I'm like, whoa. So I went and got checked for sleep apnea. And lo and behold, yeah, I have sleep apnea. And I've had the CPAP mask since 2006, 2007, and there ain't a day that's gone by that I don't wear that. And it is absolutely earth shattering. And I'm not here to endorse CPAP, but if you're not feeling rest, you get 10. I could sleep for 10 hours, wake up and feel like I didn't even sleep. It was horrible. And you don't realize how debilitating it is to your body for blood pressure, stroke, heart disease, all that stuff that plays into it. So I've been on it for years, and if you're still feeling exhausted after sleeping a whole bunch of hours, 8 hours, and you wake up and you're like exhausted, that go get checked. That's important. So plenty of rest or sleep, and that kind of goes part and parcel with doctor's appointments. Making sure you're healthy, making sure that you're going to the doctor, you're getting a physical, you're getting checked, because you have no idea what's going on internally with your body until they start doing some testing, and it's so important to do that, especially if you're feeling stressed at all. Stay organized. There's nothing better than kind of going through what your next day is. When before I go to bed, I'm always organized and planning for the next day. Like, what do I got going tomorrow? Okay, I got this, I got that. All right, am I ready for tomorrow? Am I prepared enough? Is there things I should have done during this day in order to be prepared for tomorrow? So part of that is an organization, and good organization skills can limit your stress because you're planning and you're prepared and you're organized. Eat healthy, exercise, very important. It's so easy just to take out food or go to the vending machine and grab a snack, or pack something that's not really healthy. I ran into that as a cop. My wife got me onto eating grapes and apples and all this stuff. So it was a good switch as opposed to eating a ho-ho or a ding dong or something that barely fills you up, and it's just sugar laced and really not good for you. Work-life balance, we kind of talked about that too. Making sure that work is work, life is your life. You can't get any of it back. Once the day has gone, it's gone. So work is important. I get it. I understand that, but you have to strike that balance between, hey, I got to shut it off, whether it's turning the phone off or if it's letting somebody know at work, if you're a critical person where, hey, the power goes out or something happens, you're that person they're calling. Hey, I need a break this week. I can't do that this week. If somebody else could step in, that would be great. And having those open dialogues and say, it's not that I don't like what I'm doing. I need a break. Things at home have been a little off, and I want to make sure that I'm spending quality time. Or there's something going on in our world that I don't want it to adversely affect work. That's why I'm telling you up front. Don't work during vacations. It's terrible. You go on the beach or you go away and people on the cell phone or on the laptop. It's a vacation. You're expected not to be working. Um, Dial that stuff down. Believe it or not, that work will still be there when you get back from vacation. I'm sure, like most companies, it will be piled up and say, welcome back. Here's your pile of stuff that you need to address. Vacation is vacation. You have to unwind. You don't want to have your brain engaged in that. You don't forget about work. I get that. It's still there. And it's a week or two, whatever you're able to take off of vacation, but it's exactly what it is, a vacation. You want to wind down mentally and get re-engaged with the family and stuff that you like to do to say, okay, I'm taking a break. I've worked hard. It's time to vacation. Focus on things we can control in our life. So people always say, geez, we can't control everything. It's so limited. It's like, but we can. We can control a lot of stuff. We can control how we talk with people. We control how we plan and how we organize our day. We control what type of work we do and what type of work product we produce. Nobody's driving my bus. And I use that phrase quite frequently. Don't let somebody else drive your bus. Don't let somebody else upset you because of what their thoughts or their words or their postings or whatever it might be. Who cares? It's you. Don't let you take it for face value. You assess it. You get into your critical thinking mode and go, did what they say make sense? And does it really adversely affect me? How am I going to let somebody else drive my bus and tell me how I should feel or the way I should? I don't really listen to the news. I keep hearing negativity on the news about this and that. This is how you should feel about this candidate or this event that's going on or this conflict. Okay, you can give me the information. I'll process it, but you can't tell me how I'm going to feel. You're not driving my bus. I'm driving my bus. I'll take what you take for information. I'll take it under advisement. I'll think about it, and I'll make good decisions based on that information. But you're not going to influence me or tell me how I'm going to feel as a result of something. That doesn't work. So we can control a lot of stuff in our life. It's whether or not we choose it if we let somebody else drive our bus. So please don't let other people drive your bus. I guess we're getting stressed. We're going backwards. I don't know why we're going backwards. Here we go. Okay, so an overview here. I think I'm at 1242, so I'm cooking with oil. So basic over, don't take information from unreliable sources at face value. Do your research. Kind of what Dave had mentioned in his question there. It's so hard to vet what is reliable, what it is. But if you're going to it, you're the one seeking out that website, that weird word, a book in a library, or something where you're actually going face to face with somebody that has good knowledge about it, that's reliable, then you can be able to say, okay, I'll accept that as reliable information. I did my due diligence in order to research this. But if you're getting directed to different sites, oh no, click here and you'll find out more. Well, you got to figure out who's making that site and who's directing you. Probably the manufacturer of whatever garbage it is that they're going to try to sell you. So you got to be very careful on that and make sure you vet this stuff. Don't get emotional about a topic that you don't have all the facts. Do consider it a challenge. Constantly, and I refer back to my SWOT stuff. I used to get about 17%. I don't know where I came up with that number, but I'm going to go with 17% of information about a bad call that was going on. So it was a barricaded subject, a hostage situation, whatever it might be. I would get bits and pieces of it. And I would say, and I would start asking the questions. Well, have you done this? Have you done that? Have you done this? Do we know this? Do we know that? Because by the way, your information triggers how I'm going to respond in a tactical sense. So I can't get emotional. I can't throw my arms up and go, that it sounds crazy. Let's jump in feet first. No, we need to evaluate it. And we're going to do it quickly because it is a SWAT type call, but we can't let emotions play in that. If you can step back, take a breath and go, all right, let me evaluate what I know. And do I have enough to make a decision? You may not have enough to make a decision. That's okay too. To say, no, I need to research this more. We are not jumping in. There's no sense of exigency or urgency in this decision that needs to be made. I'm going to sleep on it. I'm going to think about this a little bit more and I'm going to evaluate. Hard work gets recognized. Stay focused on the tasks at hand and take control of things that you can. I'm not very familiar with any business out there that hard work doesn't get recognized. Again, a lot of it dials down to perception. Oh, I do everything here. Nobody recognizes me. Those are ones you kind of go, maybe not. If you took a survey amongst your peers, they might say, you're not that guy. You may think you're that guy, but you're not that guy. So hard work, nose to the grindstone. You're in contact with the supervisor saying, am I meeting my goals? Am I pushing forward in the right direction? And if they're telling you, yeah, you're hitting all then you're working hard. You're doing a good job. Make sure you're happy at your job and make known your goals and aspirations. It's on you. Nobody is going to, well, good leaders will seek you out and say, hey, what do you want out of this job? What are you looking to do in order to progress? Or are you looking for more education? Are you looking more to learn about standards or knowledge base or whatever the job platform might be? But articulating what it is what your goals and aspirations are helps. And it helps people to understand how you're tracking and where you're going in your position. Don't let stress debilitate your well-being. Take care of yourself mentally and physically. Nobody else will. I guarantee you that. Nobody else is going to take care of your mental and physical health. You have to do it yourself. And once you feel good and you feel that, again, you don't have to be an Olympic athlete. You don't have to be eating, the perfect diet. I certainly don't. But you got to try. You got to at least keep your mind open, keep that physicality stuff, doing something, whether it's doing walks, you're walking the dog, you're on a treadmill, you got to keep yourself active and mobile to make sure that you're keeping your brains, your mental facets with your brain as well as your physicalities too, because you're no good if you can't go to work. And you want to talk about stress. Now you can't even get up off the couch to go to work because you've let yourself go and you're not taking care of your mental and your physical capabilities. So. Okay, I think I'm right at 12:46. I'm a minute over. I apologize, Angela, but nobody's sleeping, I hope. I can't see anybody, so.
Nope, everyone's still here. Thanks so much, Mike. Does anyone have any questions for Mike? Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Mike, Matt Curd here, company owner. I wanted to first say I really appreciate the presentation, and just so for your awareness, as a project management organization, our population of team members, represented by those here on the phone, as well as others who weren't able to attend, in large part, if not exclusively, are daily responsible for making decisions, critical decisions, based on nothing more than the input of the subject matter experts who they work with.
Mhm.
Almost everyone on the team is in some sort of leadership or responsible role. So the topic of critical thinking couldn't be more impactful to this group, which I'm sure is represented well with the population that we have on the phone today. I was wondering if you could talk quickly about informed decision making via a challenging mindset, meaning you may not know all the information. Obviously, you have those who are reporting to you and working with you as peers and subordinates to provide that information, but understanding how to ask the right questions so that you can feel properly informed to make the decisions that you have to make. I mean,
Mhm.
very few of us are the wrench turners, but we're responsible for what they're turning. So,
Mhm.
and I've found in my career outside of project management, understanding how to ask the right questions when the only resources you have in the moment are there in front of you speaking can go a long way to inform your own decision-making process.
Mhm. Yeah, no, agreed. And that's usually, and I kind of just say it generally that it's based on your training, experience, and your knowledge of what you know to be within the standards or whatever that decision might necessarily have to be. You are now you're leaning on what you know for the past. You're trying to ascertain all the information that you possibly can to make the greatest decision. But you're also the two critical elements are one, nobody's going to get hurt as a result of this. If I make the wrong decision, is it going to go sideways and somebody's going to get hurt? And then two, if am I tracking along the platform of the standard of care for whatever topic that might be for that final decision to say, I haven't all of a sudden decided to go off the rails. I want to stay in my lane. And based on the training, experience, and knowledge on this particular decision that needs to be made, it made sense. My hypothesis and my discussions with subject matter experts would then lead me to believe that this is the path that I need to take in order to make an informed decision. Again, usually making no decision is worse than the wrong decision. So if you can articulate why you're making the decisions for the reasons being, and hopefully you have some type of, and I talked about it with my job, a peer review. You have other people with like knowledge and like experience to be able to evaluate. And if you're working in a team environment where you can throw things at each other and just say, okay, that's great, we'll make that decision, but let's play the what if game. What if we do this and we make this happen? What's the byproduct of that? And can we handle those byproducts based on the decisions that we made? So yeah, it's not it's the due diligence, all the buzzwords. It's the due diligence, it's the not based on your knowledge, technical experience, and training. But again, nobody can fault anybody in a business environment if you are tracking along the standards of care, and their decisions were made on the information reasonably believed to be the appropriate ones for what you were presented with. So, and that's what I deal with a lot of the litigation, to say, well, why did you make the decision based on, and they start to outline as a defense. Oh, I did this because of this, because of this, because of this. And we have experts in every field you can think of that can come back in and say, no, that's absolutely following the standard of care. It's when you go left of center and you start, well, let's just try this, and there's no basis for that decision. That's when you start to run into trouble. So, but it sounds like everybody has that cohesiveness when it comes to teamwork, and has the ability to bounce stuff off of each other to make good decisions.
Thanks, Mike.
You bet. Thanks, Matt.
Any other questions? All right. Excellent. Thank you again, Mike, for your time. We really appreciate
bet.
you being
Thank
here
you.
with us today. And thank you all
Thanks.
for dialing in. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Take care. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Michael, Matt, and Angela. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Dave. Have a great day.